All right, we're going to start with the setup within the RingCentral admin portal for the Queue Callback. So to navigate into your guys' existing RingCentral account, go to service.ringcentral.com. Make sure that your admin set up, and then you should have a portal looking like this. Now, this is a developer's portal, but everything should be very similar. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is create the user for the actual callback waiter. Now you can see I have a couple created already. My account is very simple. You'll see that this queue agent is actually the ones that is going to be answering later on. And I actually already have two set up, this callback in queue and callback in queue, because I was just kind of playing around with the names in here. But what you'll need is at least one free RingEX license. It does not matter what tier it is. If you need to add a new user, you're just going to click the plus button right here, and then you're going to make sure that you add a RingEX user. Now, this RingEX user is going to have a couple things that allows the queue callback to actually hold the place in the line within the queue. It's going to be based off of this user, as well as this is where you're going to route calls to. So any inbound calls to go to the queue callback IVR are actually going to go through this RingEX user as well. Now, a couple limitations on this, in the fair usage policy of RingCentral, you can really only have 5 concurrent calls per user, and that's why each one of your licenses within a queue callback, you can only have 4 concurrent calls going there because we're going to leave that 5th path for connecting outbound for those reconnect calls. So if you're adding a new user, you're going to go ahead and add that RingEX user. You're going to add the email address. Now, when you add the email address, now as you can see, I have quite a few typed in here. You don't necessarily have to have a unique email in here. You could do like +1, +2, anything like there is, support email, IT email, anything like that. That's what we do in here. And then for the first and last name, you're going to want to name this like callback in queue. And the reason for that is when a customer calls in and they choose to leave a callback or they escape your queue, we'll talk about call flows here in a second, to go within the IVR for the callback. This is actually what's going to populate when it goes back into their queue. Now, if you are using the same queue as, let's say, your inbound customer service, people that choose to stay live on the line, and then you'll also have your queue callbacks going in there as well. This will pop up and notify your agent, hey, this is actually a callback in queue. This isn't a live answer call coming through, as well as they'll be able to hear audibly too. Now, this extension is important, so you can just use your extension scheme that's going with yours, such as I'm doing 3 digits. But within the RingCentral account, you can also do like single digits. And so you saw that one that I had that really is, like option 2, right? So you could just say 2. And what this is going to allow you to do in the call flow is if you want to do more of a escape out of my queue for a callback, you can actually use the extension of this queue, and then you can say within the threshold of the queue every 15 seconds, 30 seconds, I'm going to have to interrupt audio. And I can say, if you'd like to hold your place in line, go ahead and push option 2. And that option 2 would actually go to this extension here. And we'll talk a little bit more about call flow in a second. So underneath phone, this is going to be important, what you select here, because we do use the WebRTC traffic from this device, right? So you're going to say bring your own device right down here, and then I'll get more into the settings of that. But just make sure you say bring your own device. Telephone numbers, it really does not matter. If you have some in your inventory, you can go ahead and select, or you can really select whatever number that you guys would like. This number is not going to play too much of a role unless you guys have something custom going on where you allow people to go right into your callback IVR. So you click the next button, and then it would create your user. So I'm actually going to go into my callback in queue user. Notice I have extension 2 here. And I'll just go through some of the settings here that are important, but they all can be customized. And a lot of, the customization of the queue callback is going to be, using the RingCentral native settings. There's a big benefit of that because of the reliability. If anything goes wrong, right, the call's still going to be within RingCentral. So the first thing is underneath the devices and numbers. When you select bring your own phone, right, it's going to name it like an existing phone within here. If you accidentally choose just like the RingCentral app in here, it's very easy to come in here, and then you would just change your phone and just say bring your own device right through here. And then you're just going to choose your location, your device. When it asks for your device, you're just going to say manually setting up a SIP. And you don't have to document any of this information. It's all via the API when you accept the permissions. So don't worry about that information, and you just go ahead and click done, and you're good to go. If you have like in the future, multiple connections to the Queue Callback IVR, you can change this name from existing phone to say like Queue Callback 1 or anything like that. And you'll want to write down this name because we'll need it in the configuration later on. But don't worry about anything else at this point. So I'm going to go back to my user here, and I'm going to go back to that same callback and queue user. So I'm going to go underneath phone here, and I'm going to go to the incoming calling rules. Underneath the incoming calling rules, this is really going to allow you to control queue callback when people can access the IVR and what happens if they can't access the IVR, such as you're at the concurrent call threshold or for whatever reason the authentication is down. So I'm going to go into my incoming calls, and notice I have this one just set 24 hours a day, but you can change this to maybe you don't want your callbacks and queues, happening at a certain time or after. Maybe we close at 5, so at 4, I don't want anybody else leaving any callbacks and queues. You can use these hours as well as you can on the queue setup when I show it to you in a second. So when the call comes in, and I'll show you in my call flow, they're pushing option to IVR, and then they're sent over to this extension. But what they're going to hear, the first one is by default, a lot of times this tiller the call is being connected is going to be turned on. I turn that off just because I don't want that message being played before it goes in the IVR. And then there is a little bit of acoustic music playing in here, just as it reaches out to the IVR system, or this is what plays back when the outbound call happens with the agent. So if you do have some custom music on hold that they're already listening to the queue, you can go ahead and put it in here as well. So underneath the ring settings, it doesn't matter if you keep this desktop and mobile apps on. You can turn it off if you would like. We're not going to use anything within there. But as well, the big one is going to be this existing phone, right? Or whatever you named it that is going to be listed into here. That'll be turned on. Now, if nobody answers, so by default, you can see that it's going to be sent to voicemail. And if the event, right, that the existing phone or the IVR is not available, so within the voicemail right here, this is where you're going to choose, do I want it to go to voicemail, or I could say forward the call to an extension. And I'm going to show you setting up these queues here in a second. But one of the big things for me is if they can't get to the IVR, I'm just going to go ahead and pump them right into my customer service queue, right? That allows, that caller not to be interrupted. They can still wait and the agent will be picked up. But as well as, let's say in the future, if I was going to be over, that 4 concurrent call limit, this is where I would say actually forward the call to my next queue callback, right? So I can, this 102 one that I have is, my secondary one. So I could say, hey, the first one's busy, go ahead and roll over to the second. And what that does is it just bumped me from 4 concurrent calls allowed going into the IVR, now up to 8, right? And it could continue going up from there. As well as that provides some redundancy there. So for the use case here, I'm just going to keep it with the customer service team. I'm going to go ahead and click save. And that's really all the setup that is needed on the user side of things. Now I'm going to jump into the phone system side. And within the phone system side, there is, a tons of different call flow scenarios that you could have. And I'll open up my groups and show my queues and how they're created, right? So I really have my customer service queue and then I have my callback queue. I'm treating these separately. So if somebody does leave a callback, it's going to go into this callback queue, and then my agents could be different from them and so forth. But again, you could actually have your callbacks going to the same customer service queue if you would like, and so forth. So in my IVR menu, I just have one main menu created. So if somebody calls in to my number, I'm playing a prompt. I'm saying, thank you for calling. If you'd like to call back, please press 1. If you'd like to stay on the line and wait for the next available agent, press 2. So my key presses here, option 1, I'm going to that Queue Callback extension, right? And I'm going to 102 here, but it could be that too as well, whatever your extension is. And then option 2, I'm going to my customer service queue. So this is where I'm breaking these out if they want to call back in queue or if they want to go to the customer service queue and stay on the line for a live agent. And this is just one of the scenarios, right? Because as well, if I go down into my call queues and within my customer service queue, within my greeting and hold music, I could have an interrupt audio playing, and you could update this file in here saying, you know, every 30 seconds or 50 seconds, go ahead and say if you'd like to escape the queue, push that extension, or, you know, where I created the one that was option 2, it's very easy for them to push 2 to escape out of the queue, and then they'd be put in there. But for the use case that I have, I split it out on the IVR and goes into callback and queue. The callback at NQ, you just need to know what the extension is of this for the configuration here in a second. But underneath my call handling members, I'm just simultaneously ringing in here. But it's up to you how you want these rotated. This could be the same agents that you have within your callback and queue as your customer service queue. You can have different agents allowed to do the callbacks or separate them out. Maybe you have more people for live answer to customer service than callback and queue. Your customers don't really actually ever know, but it's up to you guys how you want to manage that. Cool. So that is the setup that is needed on the RingCentral admin side. Next, we'll jump over into the setup on the Queue Callback. All right, now we're going to jump into the actual Queue Callback configuration. So you can get to here. There'll be a link in the RingCentral store, but as well as you can just go to app.queueback.com and I'll go and take you to this login screen. As well as if you're on a website, you go ahead and click the login button here, top right hand corner, and I'll take you to the same screen. So for the first time that you are going to log in, you're going to go ahead and say create new account. And then you're going to enter your email address within here. And then you'll have a send verification code. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and create an email. We'll say support. We'll go +6 for a new account in here. And I'm going to send a verification code. So I just sent a verification code to that email, and I'm going to pause it really quick and go grab that. All right, so I grabbed my verification code from my email, and then I go ahead and enter it in here. And then I'm going to verify. So next is going to have you create a password. And this is going to be really for your admin of Queue Callback. There is some different users and permissions. We'll go over another video, but really this is going to be for your admin. So create a password that you're going to remember because it will be needed if you log in. So you should see a little banner that says the account has been successfully created, and then you're going to go ahead and log in to your account. All right, so first thing you see when you logged in, it says welcome, your email address in here. You'll notice that your role is a customer admin, so that's what we'll be using through the admin demonstration here today. The first thing that you'll notice is that the RingCentral integration, right, is not authenticated. Before you want to authenticate, we're going to go into billing and set that up. But if you wanted to, you could authenticate right away if you would like. That'll just allow us to connect to your guys' instance within RingCentral. However, I'm going to get billing set up, so I'm going to go click on my billing tab, and as soon as I do, you can see that it's going to create me an account, and I just really have one active license, And for the demo purpose of today, we're really just going to create a single active license with that single user. But in the future, if you had multiple sites or multiple callback queues, or you wanted to add, that threshold of 8 being allowed into here, this is where I would be able to come in and manage that subscription. But you can either click the Pay Now button to go ahead and make your account active, or you can say Manage the subscription and the billing. And this will actually take you over to our payment provider. And the first thing that you'll see is Pay Invoice here. And you should be able to go ahead and click that, and it'll walk you through adding your credit card, setting up those payments. Now, once you're back to this screen here and everything is ready to go on the billing, just go ahead and click Return to Callback in Queue. At any point, if you don't have the ability to say Return to Callback in Queue, just go ahead and go back to app.queueback.com, and then you're able to log in there. Once you're back into app.queueback.com, you're under your billing management, you'll see that you have that first license, and it's paid and everything's up and going. And from there forward, right, you'll see your next billing date here. And anytime you want to come manage your subscription, change it, increase licensing, you go ahead and click that managing subscription and billing, and it'll take you right back to the billing portal, and you can update that and so forth. So now I'm going to go back to the dashboard, and I'm going to go ahead and authenticate from the RingCentral account to the Queue Callback. So you're going to go ahead and click Authenticate with RingCentral, and then it's going to take you to the actual login.ringcentral.com. Now you'll have to log into here as a super admin to grant these permissions. And when you start logging in, it's going to say, something about, Queue Callback, and you're going to grant authentication to these certain features. Now, this is going to allow us to control and manage phone calls as it's coming in, as well as we're going to be able to see presence of those agents to give those calls back to them, as well as be able to recognize any phone calls coming in. So as soon as I click Authenticate, it's going to come back to the Queue Callback page, and now I can see that I'm authenticated, and OAuth is really just what we're using to communicate back and forth. So now I have my billing set up, as well as my dashboard, my authentication under my dashboard, and I'm going to jump into my instance configuration. And so this is going to be where a lot of that information that we need from configuring RingCentral will be. So the device name, remember I kept mine just being that existing phone. This registration extension is going to be the extension of that user. And then for the outbound proxy, there's a list of these on the RingCentral site, but for anybody in North America, really you're just going to use the SIT20, and I'll go ahead and highlight that right there, and we'll post it for you. And then the callback in queue. So you remember how mine were set up within the RingCentral environment of being a separate queue, then my customer service queue. I need to enter that extension into here. If it was just my customer service queue, that's where I would enter it in here as well. So one thing that I will point out is this queue timeout. So it is in minutes. So the queue timeout, what it is within the RingCentral settings, if let's say you only have 15 minutes of waiting within that queue, you're going to want to change this to 15 minutes. However, the callback will follow any overflow settings that you have on there. So you can create 2 queues that overflow to each other, 15 minutes each, and then go back and forth all the way to 60 minutes if you wanted to, right? But what happens at the end of this queue timeout is instead of losing your callback, right, to go into voicemail or whatever it is, it'll actually trigger a notification saying, hey, one is expired. And then underneath my queue callback reporting, I can actually click a button and queue that one back up. And we'll show you that in a later video. But I'm going to go ahead and change this to 15 minutes because that's what mine's set up. Now, anytime you're adding any information in here, you're going to want to click the Save button. It'll make a notification up here say the configuration is saved successfully. Now, for the first time, you'll see this saying never registered or disconnected registration status. And what you'll want to do is just click re-register or register, and it should change green to be saying registered, and that means that your callback is ready to go, and you're really ready to place your first test callback, make sure the call flow is working, and to get to move forward. At any point, if you want to come in here and disconnect it, you can do so, as well as if you do choose, hey, I need more callbacks and queues, I need more waiters, or maybe I need, one per location. This is where I would come, and right now you can see I'm at my license limit at 1 out of 1. I can purchase additional licensing, or I could go to the billing tab and then go ahead and click on manage the subscription and then increase that license count, and then I can build out more of these down, going down from here. But again, anytime you guys need any help, go ahead and reach out to our support team and we'll provide them for a tip. All right, because now my instance is configured, I can see it's registered over here. I just popped open app.ringcentral.com so I can actually have my agent right here answer the call. And you guys can see that queue callback come in. So underneath my accept queue call settings, I'm accepting queue calls, managing my queues, and I'm logged into both of them. Again, that's all permission based, but I'm allowing my users to choose if they're in the callback queue or not. Okay, so I'm actually going to jump over into callback reporting, and I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm just going to look at my active callbacks. We'll do another video on the analytics and the reporting, and just know there's a lot more reporting coming from the development side as well. But what I'm going to see here is I can see my active callbacks in here, as well as my historic callbacks, so I can see who's been connected, the agent name, their total wait time that they were actually, that callback in queue was waiting, right, before it got the call returned. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place a call into the main IVR there that we set up earlier, and I'm going to choose the option to have a callback. And as I do so, once it gets into the queue callback IVR, if it is a inbound customer and their 10 digits number is present, it's just going to ask them to confirm that number. If they have, let's say they're calling from a block number, or let's say they're calling from their main company number and need the ability to change it, it does allow them to. Now you'll notice if I was within my RingCentral tenant and I just dial the extension of it, it will prompt me saying, hey, it needs the 10 digits. It has to have 10 digits within the IVR to do the callback. So on the right hand side, I'm logged in to my queue, and I can see that there was one being requested here. I'm accepting queue calls, so I should have a pop-up, and there it is, of the callback queue. So me as an agent, I can see it's popping up as a callback queue, and I'm going to go ahead and answer that. And when I answer it, it does give an audible to the agent, allowing them to know, hey, this is a callback in queue. Go ahead and press 1 to connect to the call. So as soon as they press 1, now that just reached, it's actually calling back out to the customer, and then the customer answers, and that call is connected. As soon as that call is connected back to the agent, or actually even starts ringing out back to the customer, the agent is no longer connected to the queue callback IVR, as well as when the customer is connected, they're not connected to the queue callback IVR. It's just directly over to RingCentral at that point. A couple benefits of that, the sound quality, reliability, and everything that is of the native RingCentral application, as well as you're allowed, it frees up your concurrent call path to the IVR to receive another one. So you'll see on the historic callbacks, right, which agent name answered this. So if you have named users in here, right, you'll be able to see those, making sure they're answering them if they're supposed to. And all the same reporting on the RingCentral side works the same too, right? You can see who's answering calls in the queue callback and so forth.